So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, over the past 24 hours or so, the Detroit Lions have had a lot of news about their coaching staff, whether it be coaches leaving, coaches staying, coaches getting promoted, or coaches just simply interviewing for other opportunities elsewhere in the league. The coaching staff for the Detroit Lions has gone through and has seen multiple big changes that will affect them drastically in the 2022 NFL season. And today, of course, we are going to be talking about those changes. Everything from Brad Johnson's promotion to Aubry Pleasant potentially leaving the Lions. Everything will be covered today surrounding all the coaching information that you are going to need to know going into 2022. So starting off, we're going to look at Ben Johnson's promotion from tight ends coach and offensive pass game coordinator to officially becoming the Detroit Lions' next offensive coordinator. Now, Ben Johnson, as I mentioned, was the tight ends coach and the pass game coordinator for the Detroit Lions in the 2021 NFL season. Now, he was not heavily involved in the offensive play calling in the first couple of weeks of the NFL season, but going into the bye week after a really disappointing loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, Dan Campbell felt like there was a need for change in the coaching staff and in the play calling, so he relied less on Anthony Lynn to call the plays and turned to Brad Johnson for his ideas and turned to Brad Johnson at some points during the season last year for the play calling. After the bye week from about Pittsburgh on, Ben Johnson got very involved in the play calling. He got even more involved in the actual scheming for games. He impressed Dan Campbell over and over again, and the more Ben Johnson got involved in the play calling, the better the offense looked. The more he got involved in the play calling, the more comfortable Jared Goff looked, the more comfortable the offense seemed to move, and the more efficient and effective the offense was for the Detroit Lions. Multiple of their best performances last season came at the very end. You know, obviously their offensive performance versus Green Bay, their offensive performance versus the Arizona Cardinals. Both of those games are top tier offensive play from the Detroit Lions, at least by their standards, and those were probably the two best offensive games the Detroit Lions played all season. Another great example is the Minnesota game. The second game, putting 29 points on that Minnesota defense is not easy to do, but thanks to the help of Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell working together to call plays and scheme stuff up, they were able to put up points and obviously walk away with a really well-deserved victory in all three of those football games. Ben Johnson has a lot of experience throughout the NFL. Last year, he was again the pass game coordinator and the tight ends coach, but before that, he worked as a wide receivers coach in Miami. Before that, he worked as a quarterbacks coach in Miami. Before that, he worked as an offensive quality control coach in the NFL, and before that, he was a quarterback in his own right, playing high Division I football as a quarterback for the North Carolina Tar Heels. So he's been around the game for a very long time. He's a very smart guy playing quarterback and coaching multiple positions throughout his time in the NFL. And just overall, Ben Johnson, I think, is the best option for the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator. He's a guy that is experienced, a guy that is incredibly smart, a guy that has a really good brain for football, and a guy that just understands how to use his players and understands how to put his players in an opportunity to succeed. He's a guy that a lot of the players like. I've seen a couple different comments from different guys, different players on the roster that'll be here next year saying, you know, we really like Ben Johnson, we think he's really good for this position. I think that this was the right hire, things along those lines. Players are excited to work with Ben Johnson in a more expanded role. And when you look at his Senior Bowl performance, as Ben Johnson was the Lions offensive coordinator for the American side of the Senior Bowl competition a week ago, players loved working with Ben Johnson. I mean, you look at Malik Willis, Sam Howell, ironically, another North Carolina quarterback that the Lions might look to take in the NFL draft. You also have, obviously Bailey Zapp, all working with Ben Johnson as the offensive coordinator, and they all grew and developed and got better as quarterbacks in just 3 days under Ben Johnson's guidance. And I think that says a lot about the coaching style of Ben Johnson. He is somebody that the players like playing for. He is somebody that has earned the respect of his players, and he is somebody that just he respects his players and his players respect him. He loves his players and his players love him. And I think he is the right coach for the Detroit Lions. He is a homegrown, inner coaching circle talent, right? That they didn't have to go outside the organization to find him, which again is a really good thing for culture to be built in the Lions, right? If you're developing these coaches from tight ends coach to to pass game coordinator, from pass game coordinator to offensive coordinator, and hopefully one day offensive coordinator to head coach for Ben Johnson, right? That's going to build your culture, right? Having these coaches come up through the ranks of your system is going to build that coaching culture in the coach's locker, not the coach's locker room, but it's going to build that culture within the coaching staff, and it's going to build that culture deeper and deeper within the Detroit Lions organization. And I think it's just the perfect move for the Detroit Lions. It's an in-house hire. It's somebody that proved himself last year, somebody that has already shown that he can earn the respect of his players and use his players effectively, somebody that's already shown multiple times throughout the years that he has the ability to not only teach these players, but has the ability to have these players apply what they're learning very quickly and very rapidly and become better football players immediately. I just think from every angle that you look at it, it's a really good hire. Is it kind of a little bit risky? Maybe because he's never, called plays like that before. He's never drawn up his own playbook or anything like that. But I think he's more than capable of doing so. He saw what worked last year. Kind of like when we were talking about Deuce Staley. He doesn't have to start a whole new playbook. He can take what Anthony Lynn brought in, and he can, take out the bad and keep the good. And even the bad stuff, you can adjust it, you can change it, and you can apply it in better ways, in better circumstances to help the Lions offense better in 2022. This, I think, is my favorite hire of the offseason. It's really the only big move the Lions have made this offseason, but I think it is the perfect move for the Lions moving forward. Now, that's not the only coaching news that we have today, as Aaron Glenn has been interviewing for head coaching jobs. Aaron Glenn, over the past couple of weeks, since the season ended for the Detroit Lions and throughout the NFL playoffs, Aaron Glenn has kind of, been interviewing for different head coaching jobs. He interviewed for the Denver Broncos job. Actually, I believe interviewed twice for that job, and he also interviewed for his former team, the New Orleans Saints, after head coach Sean Payton stepped away from the game of football. Now, a lot of people, including Dan Campbell, were very nervous that Aaron Glenn was not only going to interview well, but was going to leave the Detroit Lions to go be a head coach elsewhere in the NFL. I was one of those people. Aaron Glenn is one of my favorite coordinators in the NFL, and I think he has an opportunity to go be a head coach. I think this year, after just 1 year as a defensive coordinator, has an opportunity to go be a head coach somewhere else. But Aaron Glenn multiple times has stated that he wants to stay in Detroit, that he wants to be the best coordinator to ever come through Detroit, and you can't do that in just one season. You can't be called the best coordinator if your defense wasn't even top half in a majority of statistical categories. Aaron Glenn wants to be here, and because of that, Aaron Glenn did not accept a head coaching job anywhere else in the NFL. He will remain the Detroit Lions defensive coordinator for at least 1 more year. I would expect him to get a lot more interviews next year from teams that are looking for their head coaches, looking for their head coach of the future. But for right now and for the foreseeable future, Aaron Glenn is your defensive coordinator. And I really, really like the fact that the Lions were able to keep him. Obviously, I think Dan Campbell has a big influence over that. I think Aaron Glenn really likes the players, really likes the culture, and really believes in what Dan Campbell is building here after a full season, which again, I think speaks to the culture that Dan Campbell is building here in Detroit. A culture of, right, it's not you come here to get a contract and you get out. You come here because no one else wants you and you leave, right? He's building this culture of, you're bringing in the best coaches And those coaches are staying here because they believe in your process. And I think, again, that speaks volumes to the culture that Dan Campbell is building here in Detroit. Aaron Glenn had an average defense with below average talent. I mean, you look at the talent that he had to field each and every Sunday. You're talking about multiple undrafted free agents. You're talking about 6th, 7th round picks. You're talking about guys that weren't even signed until middle of the season. You know, one week he went into an NFL game with one cornerback on his roster, one healthy cornerback in Ifeatu Melifonwu on his roster, starting safeties at the other 2 cornerback spots, right? Alex Anzalone left with injury. His top 3 pass rushers at times were out with injuries, right? Charles Harris missed some time. Romeo Okwara missed a lot of the season. Trey Flowers missed a lot of the season. Julian Okwara missed a month or so in the NFL season. There was no position on this defense that was healthy all year for all 17 games, and yet Aaron Glenn's defense didn't look that bad. Aaron Glenn's defense put the Lions in a position to win football games numerous times this season. Both Chicago games, in both Minnesota games, in the game versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, in the game versus the Cleveland Browns, in the games that were incredibly close. The Lions, for a good month, held their opponents under 20 points game after game after game, and the Lions offense was the part that couldn't come through, and the Lions offense was the part that couldn't contribute their part. Now you give Aaron Glenn, Dan Campbell, and Brad Holmes a year to build up this roster, a year to, bring together some free agents, a year to bring together another really quality defensively based draft class, and you're going to see Aaron Glenn's defense thrive. You're going to see Aaron Glenn's defense go from 20th, 25th in the NFL to, top 15, maybe even top 10 with the right talent around him. And if all the things go correctly and if people stay healthy, you can see Aaron Glenn coaching a top 15 to top 10 defense next season at the very earliest. And I really think that next year, with an opportunity to add all this talent in free agency and in the draft, you are going to see Aaron Glenn take a huge step as a defensive coordinator and make a real case to be a top head coaching candidate a year from now. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is a little bit less positive news, but it's good for the person that we're talking about. Now, Aubry Pleasant was one of the coaches that Dan Campbell brought in to be our defensive backs coach for 2021. He formerly worked with teams like the Los Angeles Rams, coaching up Jalen Ramsey. He worked with the Baltimore Ravens and their really good secondary throughout the late 2010s, and he worked with the Washington football team as a defensive quality control coach when Washington won back-to-back division titles in 2015 and 2016. He has been a coach that is long tenured in the NFL and has, for a very long time, coached his defensive backs especially, but his defensive players in general to play at the top of their game. Now, Aubry Pleasant coached as the defensive coordinator in the Senior Bowl, and much like Ben Johnson, got a really, really positive response and really quality play from his players that had never played together before. And due to the success that he saw at the Senior Bowl, Aubry Pleasant is now interviewing for the defensive coordinator position for the division rival Minnesota Vikings. Now, I don't know if Aubry Pleasant wants this job with the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know if he's going to take a role with the division rivals. That is obviously very possible, and I believe it's even expected that Aubry Pleasant will land this job, and I think it's expected that Aubry Pleasant takes this job as the defensive coordinator. Now, there's always a chance that Aubry Pleasant says, I have too much respect for Dan Campbell, right? I appreciate the offer, but I'm not ready to move on. I believe in this culture in a very similar way to what Aaron Glenn did a few weeks ago, right? Just saying, I believe in this culture, I believe in this process, I appreciate the interview, I appreciate the opportunity, but right now Detroit is the best spot for me. Possible that he stays, but it is unlikely that he stays, and it's very likely, in fact, that we will play against Aubry Pleasant in the very, very near future as the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. So with all that being said, that is all the coaching news that we have for this week. Again, a lot of moves, a lot of changes for this Lions team. Ben Johnson's your new offensive coordinator. Aaron Glenn is staying as your defensive coordinator, but we could be losing one of the best secondaries coaches in the NFL. So let me know what you guys think about the moves down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think about our new offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson. Again, I think it's a great move for the Lions, and I think both of our coordinators coming back, or both of our coordinators that we will go into 2022 with, are probably some of the best coordinators that we could possibly get. So with all that being said, that is all for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions!